I mean, that's by design. It was
Yeah.
intended to be like that. When I lose to someone mashing out an Ultra in, Street Fighter 4 at a random opportunity, that's by design. It's not going to change. They like that.
Yeah.
They like the stupid shit I get hit by in other fighting games is by design. Like the programmers want it that way. They want rage. They want people to fucking come back out of nowhere to fuck good players up. The shit in MK9, the input bug, isn't intentional. It'll be fixed. Probably not this game, unfortunately, but it will be in the future. Once that's fixed, then I mean, what? It's gonna be perfect. I don't. It's
So, I
Yeah.
mean, do you guys think the input bug can be fixed in MK9?
No.
It cannot.
No, it cannot, and it's not going to be fixed. And basically,
Hmm.
I think the community at this point just needs to move on from it. Tournament pros, don't sit there and say, I'm going to quit the game or whatever, whatever. This reminds me of when I used to work for Verizon and AT&T, and T, and I was doing I was a sales director. You know what's so funny about telephone service or telecom service for businesses and stuff like that is when Bell Atlantic got split up, certain areas just can only sell one provider. In other words, Verizon can't sell another area. So an area where you don't have Comcast cable and you don't sell Verizon, so I go in there and there's only Time Warner cable and there's only AT&T, and they're like, I'm not going to sign a contract. I'm not going to whatever. You can just say, where you going to go? You ain't got nowhere else to go but me, so you will do deal with me and you will sign this contract. Don't threaten me. MK players, it's like, where are you going to go? Don't ever threaten me. Where are you going to go? You aren't going to go anywhere. You're going to stay in this fucking game. You're going to go to MVC3, get raped, get blown up, and I will be there every day to blow you up. And I was like, so you might as well just, if you're good at something, stay with it and help build this game. Because you're going to eventually come back to this game in MK10 and wish the community was bigger. And you're going to be a big reason why it's not.
I was
So,
gonna quit fighting games. I was so disgruntled with fighting games in general. Like Mortal Kombat 9 was like the last hurrah for me. I was like, if this game sucks, I'm done with fighting games. Because Tekken is terrible. I thought Street Fighter is terrible. MVC3 is terrible. Like, it's all catered to just average players who can beat good players. And I was like, why am I going to put in all this time, to learn these games so I can get blown up by the simplest shit? And so
yeah.
I would actually be retired if it wasn't for Mortal Kombat 9. I would be done.
I think a lot of these tournament pros that try to basically, I feel like they're like almost holding the community at ransom. Like we're going to quit because we don't like this, whatever. It's just a thing where realize this is one of the best games out right now. And instead of being like, is it going to die? Is it going to die? And I've never seen the community think that way. Is it going to die?
Yeah, I
Or it's
agree.
almost like this
That was
community
on the front page of Test Your Mind. I was
Yeah,
like, what the fuck?
something like this community is like sitting around going, any day now we're going to die. We're just waiting for it to die. I just want to say, what is wrong with you people? This is a great game. It's a fun game. And I think one of the biggest problems in this game is people are like, oh, it's losing interest. It's farmed out. I'm like, how do you know it's farmed out? I change, like 16 bit says, he changes his mind every day on a certain matchup or a certain tactic or something like that, or new technology or something like that comes out. And people are like, no, it's farmed out. The game is set in stone. Yada yada yada. I mean, there's so many things. Like just yesterday, I was going over my Ermac guide, and I was playing some Ermac with PL, and I was like, this character has got great symmetry and how all of his shit works together. And I was like, there's just some shit right here that I just think is not being utilized. And I think a lot of that for characters is that way. I think we're just in this community where I think MK players cannot get that thought out of their Mortal Kombat DC. It is for Rio and myself. We have argued whether we think DC had more depth in this game. Some people think it does. Some people think it doesn't. Maybe it doesn't. I don't think it does. Probably. I mean, but I would say 2 years into that game, 2 years, we found so much fucked up shit that changed the entire tier list from 3 all the way down to the bottom. And that was 2 years into the game. And that's only because the way the community, they don't wish to expand on anything. They're too busy trying to fight something once, say it can't be beaten, either quit the game or keep playing the game the way they're playing it and say it just can't be beaten and the game sucks. People don't ever try to expand upon their characters, their tactics, anything at all. They're just content playing the game the same way the whole time, and then whatever goes wrong, they blame the game for their shortcomings, and they can't wait for the next one to come out. I mean, and I think that ultimately is the biggest problem in this community. People have got to put in perspective and realize this game is only 6 months old. It just changed in a patch. God knows what there is to come out as far as how this game is played. And people are already writing it off as if, well, now that MK9 was out, that was fun. When's MK10 coming out? No. Realize this game is 6 months old and treat it like it's 6 months old. Do you realize that Tekken 6 came out? The biggest reason for Tekken 6 dying so quickly is because it was really out for 2 years before it came out on the console.
Yeah.
And that's the reality. It was out for 2 years. So one of the frustrating things about playing a fighting game that's out for 2 years is you lose your ability to innovate. Anything you do was already done by somebody 2 years ago. You know, and then you're like, oh, that's fuck, man. What do I have that's my own shit, man? That's part of the fun of fighting games, coming up with your own shit. You know, and it's like, I don't want to hear about some guy in Korea who did it a year ago. Fuck him. You know, I don't want to hear about that. You know, you have a new fighting game. It's only 6 months old. Even when Tekken 6 came out, even though it was God knows how many years old, even BR was over a year old. New shit still came out over a year later. I mean, there's no such thing as even MKDC, which I don't think has as much depth as this game. Years later, new stuff came out. I fail to believe that MK9 has reached its peak. Nothing new can come out. There's no new tech to be discovered. The tier list isn't going to change. It's fucking retarded. This community needs to stop treating it that way and just treat it like a game that's only out for 6 months old. Stop talking about who's the best in the world. Say, okay, you're winning now 6 months in, win 12 months in. You know, why don't you think about it that way for once? You know, EVO happened and people made it seem like EVO was the last tournament this game was ever going to fucking have. You know, they were like, well, the game was like 3-4 months old. They're like, oh, World Tournament came out. World Champion was crowned. It was nice to have MK9. I hope MK10 is at the next EVO. What? You know, the community needs to put it into perspective, realize the game is still new, and still play it like a new game. Street Fighter players are like, oh, 2012's coming out, even though each version of the game might as well still be Street Fighter 4 in some way, shape, or form. They still keep going into the game, and you know, even a year from now and a year and a half from now, when this game does eventually get farmed out, don't sit there and say, oh, it's boring, it's not good, I can't wait for the new fighting game. That's when the fighting game is good. The reason why basketball and football succeed so much is because it's the same fucking sport. So it allows you to build a base of fans and a base of players and a base of faces, and that's when you can actually start doing things professionally in the fighting game world, when you become known because of, an established a game is out long enough. And it's also good for the fans of the game. They get to follow their favorite players. They get to follow the game. And then you get to play the game for once it's finally reached its highest possible level. You get to play the game at its highest possible level for another year or so. And then you finally get another EVO, 1 or 2 more EVOs. And maybe the last one will finally be a tournament with the game actually being played at its highest possible level. Not highest possible level for that time, but the end-all, be-all level. And that's when the game gets really fun and really interesting. And I think MK players are willing to rob themselves of that just for a game, just to get another game out. Okay, yeah, we're bored. I think if that's then you're playing for the wrong reasons.
So Tom, do you think we'll see MK at EVO next year?
I think we'll see MK at EVO, and I hope we see MK at EVO after this one. Even I don't see any reason why we shouldn't. I mean, what are they going to put at it? MVC 2?
Yeah, we've always agreed with that.
You're gonna put Skullgirls? No offense to Skullgirls, but it's not gonna bring in Mortal Kombat has such an advantage over a lot. I know a lot of people like to say, oh, they want to be pro gamers. I hear that term all the time. They want to be successful in this industry, whatever. When I look at the name on the back of the box, I see Warner Brothers, man. That tells me that's the right game to fucking play. Because if anything is ever going to pop off in this country, this is the game it's eventually going to pop off in. Maybe not 9, but the franchise. So the bigger you get the community, the better. I mean, I think Evolution realizes this. I think everybody that's intelligent should realize this. I mean, so... and Mortal Kombat has a bigger, no offense, I love Tekken. I like playing Tekken. I'm going to play Tekken Tag 2. I'm going to play Soul Calibur 2. I mean, Soul Calibur 5, but those games do not get the attention in America, and